Russia's penal system is infamous for its harsh conditions and brutal environments, but none are more feared than Russia's Polar Owl prison. Home to the country's most dangerous criminals, this facility has a reputation that chills even the most hardened convicts. But what lies beyond Polar Owl prison's infamy? Join us as we take an inside look into Russia's Polar Owl prison, where prisoners are expected to die at -50 degrees Celsius. Prepare to be mesmerized, as we'll also uncover the grim realities of life in other extreme prisons in Russia. Polar Owl Prison. Officially known as Penal Colony Number 18, the infamous Russian Polar Owl Prison is a frosty correctional facility nestled high up on the Arctic Circle in North Russia. To get there, prisoners endure a grueling train journey of over 2 days, starting from the bustling city of Moscow. But the adventure doesn't end there. Once they reach the nearest train station, they still have to hop on a bus and travel a few more kilometers before finally arriving at this remote correctional facility. The Polar Owl Prison is a world away from anything we can imagine. It's like being transported thousands of miles away from civilization itself. And to be sincere, the cold here is no joke. Temperatures can plummet to an astounding -40 degrees Celsius, making it colder than anywhere you've ever encountered. No wonder they decided to nickname this place after a majestic, sculpted owl towering at the entrance. Furthermore, the Polar Owl Prison is one of the most feared penitentiaries on the planet. This is where they keep the really tough guys, the serial killers, political terrorists, and the most serious offenders you can imagine. One notable convict in this penitentiary is Alexander Pushkin, a Russian serial killer who walked into this icy jail after ending the lives of over 60 people just for fun. Funnily enough, the guy's goal was to rack up enough victims to fill every square on a chessboard. When he got nabbed, they threw him in solitary confinement for life. However, even a guy like him couldn't handle the pressure of this place. According to him, he would rather be 6 feet under than spend his days in this frozen hell. And if a stone-cold killer like him says it's unbearable, you know it's off the charts. But hey, it's not just the bone-chilling cold that makes this prison a living nightmare. The Polar Owl is designed to shatter the human spirit into a million pieces. In this place, inmates are stuck in single cells, or crammed into double cells, with a strict rule to stay off those beds until the lights go out at 10 p.m. Can you even imagine sitting in one spot all day, every day for the rest of your life? That's mental torture, plain and simple. You would think these hardcore criminals deserve it, but that's some serious punishment. Now let's talk about those pleasant walks they get. Each inmate is allowed to go on a walk for 1 hour and 30 minutes every day. Sounds great, right? Unfortunately, it's just another kind of confinement, but with a view of the sky thanks to iron bars instead of a roof. And just when you think they might get a little peace, a security guard strolls along those bars, keeping a watchful eye on the prisoners. So, while the inmates try to catch a glimpse of the skies, the reality of their never-ending doom hangs heavy over them. It's like a cruel game of freedom teased but never truly attained. As if that's not enough, inmates are locked away in a place where even forming a bond with another soul seems like a distant dream. This is believed to be the hardest part, because most Russian prisoners make friends and communities that help them survive and make life in prison easier. That's the grim reality for over 300 inmates in Polar Owl Prison. Here, isolation reigns supreme, cutting off any chance of building a sense of community that could bring a glimmer of light to their dark existence. Unlike Russian prisons, where inmates often find solace in their bonds and create their own support systems, Polar Owl Prison offers no such solace. Inmates are trapped in a solitary world, confined to their cells with no glimpse of human connection beyond their one assigned roommate and the watchful eyes of prison guards. The mere thought of a meal shared in a bustling cafeteria, or engaging in joint exercises with fellow prisoners, is nothing but a distant memory for those serving time in Polar Owl Prison. Communication is reduced to mere whispers between roommates, a faint echo in the empty halls of this desolate place. Even the rare visit from family members offers no respite from the endless monotony. with strict registration procedures and the daunting journey through harsh conditions just for a fleeting moment together. The joy of reunion is overshadowed by the heavy price it demands. It's safe to say that life in Polar Owl Prison is just a bland repetition of the same boring routines. Nothing fun, just some physical torture wrapped in a lot of mental torment. From the same food the inmates eat to the radio shows they listen to, and the selected movies they are allowed to watch once a week, the lives of the inmates are completely programmed, and they just rinse and repeat. In all this, one thing that's truly shocking is the fact that no one has ever successfully escaped from Polar Owl Prison, despite its harsh conditions. The cells are enclosed by 3 iron doors, surrounded by 5 layers of iron fences, and patrolled by 20 heavy Caucasian shepherd dogs ready to pounce at any sign of trouble. It's a fortress, making escape completely impossible. In 2011, a prisoner named Alexander Elistratov proved this point when he attempted to flee. During his daily walk, Elistratov managed to hold the door with a small piece of iron and made a run for it. But as he tried to climb the fence and jump, he ended up being cornered by the snarling dogs, narrowly escaping being torn apart only because the guards intervened. But his punishment was severe. He was sent to solitary confinement for days and eventually passed away months later. The prison took notice and reinforced the iron fence with even more layers, ensuring that no one else would dare to try escaping. Now, the inmates simply accept their fate and adapt to their solitary existence, facing the extreme cold or psychological hardships. But if you think Polar Owl's conditions are unbearable, get ready to be shocked, because there are even worse prisons out there. Butika Prison. The Butika Prison is the complete opposite of the frigid environment at Polar Owl Prison. Situated in the Tverskoy district of central Moscow, Butika is notorious for its extreme heat that swelters inmates during the long summer months. It's a dangerous place, and the inmates here face a different kind of torture. Butika has a dark, storied history that dates back all the way to the 17th century. The current building was constructed in 1879 during Catherine the Great's reign, and served as a transit home for prisoners during the Soviet Union era. Over the years, the prison has taken on different functions, but today, political prisoners, revolutionaries, terrorists, and government opponents are most likely to be found in its cells. The conditions here are grim, with overcrowding, malnutrition, and disease being commonplace. Sadly, many of the inmates have not even been sentenced yet, waiting in what feels like an endless limbo of uncertainty and fear. The cells are cramped and unsanitary, and the constant noise and bustle of activity outside only add to the inmates' distress. The prison is one of Russia's largest establishments, yet it harbors a chilling secret. It's the most overcrowded prison in the country. Imagine a cell meant for 10 people packed with 100. The overcrowding issue sets Butika apart from the desolate isolation of Polar Owl, creating a living nightmare for its unfortunate inmates. In this overcrowded chaos, disease thrives. Tuberculosis and acquired immune deficiency virus run rampant, claiming lives faster than ever before. Prison guards shuttle inmates in cramped vans, exposing even the healthy ones to deadly illnesses like tuberculosis before they even set foot in their cells. And when most detainees are drug users, sharing a single needle among 100 creates a breeding ground for the rapid spread of acquired immune deficiency virus. The idea of over 100 inmates crowded together, all sharing just one needle, appears extremely cruel. By the end of the day, it's impossible to find even one healthy inmate in the Butika prison. This prison is known to be one of the most dangerous in the country, and it's not hard to see why. The spread of acquired immune deficiency virus and tuberculosis among inmates in this prison seems almost like an intentional act by the prison managers. It's almost as if they are using these diseases as a weapon to further punish the offenders. It's true that the spread of diseases can be avoided, but perhaps the managers have a sinister motive. Could it be that they are trying to ensure that lifers are punished for their rebellion against the government and for causing chaos in the nation? It wouldn't be surprising if this is what they were thinking. White Swan Prison. Known officially as Penal Colony No. 2, White Swan Prison is a formidable supermax prison, nestled in the heart of Perm-Krai, Russia. Among the 7 supermax prisons in the country, White Swan stands out as a stark symbol of confinement and despair. Dating back to 1938, this prison was initially designed as a penal colony for political dissidents, particularly targeting priests. However, in a haunting turn of events in 1999, White Swan underwent a chilling transformation into a permanent residence for those sentenced to life imprisonment. Since then, not a single soul has escaped its iron grip, no matter the circumstances. Unlike its notorious counterpart, Butika prison, White Swan boasts a spacious layout, accommodating a mere third of its total capacity of around 300 inmates. Each cell has the capacity for up to 3 occupants, but don't be fooled by the seemingly generous space allocation. The atmosphere within these walls is permeated with an aura of fear and dread, making it a place feared by many across Russia. Now let's delve into the peculiar quirks of White Swan. The prison earns its moniker from the pristine white facade that surrounds it. But what truly sets this place apart is the unique way in which the guards escort the inmates. Prisoners are directed to bend at a precise 90-degree angle with their handcuffed hands securely held by the guards as they shuffle from cell to cell. Another notable thing that makes the White Swan prison to be unique from any other supermax prison is that it was designed specifically to completely cut off all communication between the prisoners and the outside world. Unlike some other facilities, inmates here can't listen to the radio or watch television. But that's just the beginning. The most astonishing part is that they are forbidden from receiving any visitors. This means that once someone is inside the White Swan prison, they have to say goodbye to everyone and everything they care about, and they will never be able to see them again until their dying day. It may seem like the most extreme punishment any prison could impose, but considering the serious crimes committed by those inside, one might argue that they deserve such harsh treatment. After all, if they valued their loved ones so much, perhaps they should have stayed away from a life of crime. Having in mind that being locked up in the White Swan prison can drive inmates to madness within just a few months, the prison officials have professional psychologists on site who play a crucial role in evaluating the inmates before assigning them roommates. By pairing psychologically compatible inmates, the prison officials would be able to prevent conflicts and effectively manage the inmates. These psychologists also provide support when the harsh conditions start to affect the inmates' mental well-being. This shows that the prison management recognizes the severity of the environment they have created in the White Swan prison. Furthermore, despite the tough conditions, the guards show some compassion by allowing the inmates to take a daily walk for up to an hour. Additionally, they are given a 10-minute bath once a week. It may seem like a small gesture, but in a place as challenging as this prison, even these basic privileges make a big difference. Just the fact that they can leave their cells to freshen up is a luxury compared to other facilities. Fire Island Prison. Deep in the remote northern reaches of Russia lies Fire Island, a desolate piece of land with a haunting history. Over centuries, Fire Island transitioned from a spiritual sanctuary into a place of captivity. Originally, the island was home to a flourishing monastery exuding tranquility. However, the tides turned with the eruption of the Russian Revolution in 1917, leading to the dissolution of the religious institution and its conversion into a gulag for those deemed adversaries of the state. It was not until 1944 that Fire Island was officially designated as a maximum security prison. Today, it houses 200 of the most dangerous criminals in Russia, all serving life sentences. Life imprisonment on Fire Island is a harsh and unforgiving reality for those who have committed heinous crimes. The prison's security measures are designed to prevent any form of escape or unauthorized activity. Inmates are subject to constant surveillance through security cameras, with the prison guards maintaining communication with them via an intercom system. The isolation of the island, surrounded by water and marshland, further discourages any attempts at escape. The extreme weather conditions, with temperatures reaching scorching highs of 35 degrees Celsius in summer and bone-chilling lows of -30 degrees Celsius in winter, add to the inhospitable nature of the prison. Meanwhile, Fire Island is reserved for criminals who have committed crimes with particularly low motives and extreme cruelty. The prison is home to a wide range of inmates, including terrorists, assassins, mafia bosses, serial killers, and sex offenders. The inmates are a constant source of concern for both the prison authorities and society at large. The prison's deputy governor once stated that there are prisoners who would prefer death over continuing their incarceration on Fire Island. Profiles of the inmates reveal the horrors they have inflicted upon their victims. One such inmate, Levanov, was convicted of sexually assaulting and brutally murdering his girlfriend. His acts of extreme cruelty include tearing out her internal organs with his bare hands. Such examples highlight the dark and disturbing nature of the crimes committed by the inmates of Fire Island. Interestingly, inmates themselves play a significant role in the functioning of the prison system. They are assigned various tasks, such as cooking, baking, and even manufacturing goods for private companies. Inmates who demonstrate good behavior and adhere to prison rules have the opportunity to work and earn a small income. However, questions arise regarding the treatment and conditions of inmates, particularly when it comes to issues of fairness and equal opportunities. The Fire Island prison has indeed faced global criticisms for its alleged arbitrariness and violence. Human rights organizations, both domestic and international, have emphasized the need for reform and fair treatment of prisoners. The limited perspective of Western journalists, who are only granted restricted access to the prisons and carefully chosen inmate interviews, further adds to the challenges of understanding the true conditions within this facility. Now it's time for our subscribers' pick. Brace yourself as we uncover the chilling secrets of Russia's most feared penitentiary, Polar Owl Prison, where prisoners are expected to die at -50 degrees Celsius. If you were to ask any inmate about their time within its icy confines, their answer would likely send shivers down your spine. Locked away in a world even more menacing than the death penalty itself, these prisoners face an unimaginable fate, struggling to survive in harsh, cold temperatures. No wonder it houses some of the most notorious criminals in Russia. So guys, what do you think about this unforgiving penitentiary? Do you think anyone would be able to survive such harsh, cold temperatures? Do share your thoughts in the comments section below as we continue with this video. IK2 Yavas Prison, also known as FKU Corrective Colony No. 2 for the Republic of Mordovia. IK2 Yavas Prison is a women's corrective colony located near Yavas, Mordovia, approximately 480 kilometers southeast of Moscow. This prison is infamous for its harsh conditions, even by Russian prison standards. It is part of a system of similar prisons in the region that were built during the Soviet era in the 1930s. According to sociologist Olga Zevaleva, who works with the Gulag Echoes project studying Russian prison conditions, prisons in Mordovia are notoriously terrible. The harsh regimes and human rights violations in these prisons have gained notoriety. In fact, there is a popular saying among female prison inmates in Russia that goes, "If you haven't done time in Mordovia, you haven't done time at all." The conditions at Yavas prison are said to be stuck in time for the last 50 years, according to Judith Pallett, a scholar from the University of Oxford. The prison environment is known for its harshness and lack of progress. While violence from other prisoners and prison guards is not as frequent in IK2 Yavas prison compared to men's prisons, it is still not uncommon. The constant fear of violence adds to the challenging atmosphere for inmates. Prisoners at IK2 Yavas have raised concerns about the conditions within the facility. Human rights organizations have documented complaints from inmates about the treatment they received. Olga Shilayeva, a former inmate who was released in 2017, described being subjected to frequent beatings during her time at the prison. These beatings were reportedly carried out by Vyacheslav Kimyaev, who was a senior official at the time. Shockingly, Kimyaev was later placed in charge of the same facility. However, following an investigation by Russian authorities in 2021, he was replaced by Yelena Poznyakova. The appointment of Kimyaev to a position of authority, despite his alleged involvement in abuse, raises concerns about the overall supervision and accountability within the prison system. One of the challenges facing IK2 Yavas is its remote location, which limits access for human rights organizations to scrutinize the conditions and treatment of prisoners. The facility's geographical isolation makes it difficult for outside observers to ensure transparency and accountability for the well-being of inmates. Inside the prison, inmates are housed dormitory-style, with large rooms containing 100 bunk beds. Personal belongings are not allowed, and there is limited supervision during the night hours. The daily schedule is demanding, with prisoners waking up at 6 a.m. to engage in group exercises. They subsequently spend long hours operating sewing machines, producing uniforms for military and prison service members. This labor-intensive work can last for 10 to 12 hours per day. In November 2022, The prison gained international attention when the Women's National Basketball Association player Brittany Griner was transferred to IK2 Yavas to serve a 9-year sentence. Griner's incarceration was for the possession of medically prescribed vape cartridges containing less than 1 gram of hashish oil in total. The decision to send Griner to the facility was reportedly influenced by its difficult-to-reach location, Black Dolphin Prison. Have you ever wondered what kind of punishment can truly break the most hardened criminals and reduce them to tears? Look no further than the infamous Black Dolphin Prison. This prison, officially known as Penal Colony No. 6, is one of the oldest and toughest prisons in Russia. Established way back in 1745, the living conditions in this prison have remained unchanged, ensuring it maintains its reputation as the most punishing correctional facility in the country. Originally designed to house individuals sentenced to life imprisonment with hard labor, the prison earned its nickname from a sculpture of a black dolphin that an inmate crafted at the main entrance. Over time, it evolved into a facility specifically crafted to hold the most dangerous offenders, from murderers and terrorists to child molesters, and most notably, cannibals. The presence of these heinous criminals poses a significant challenge for the prison authorities, who must maintain strict security measures and control over the inmates. The Black Dolphin Prison is an incredibly tough and highly secure facility, where the inmates are held in isolated cells, each within another cell. This means that the inmates are locked behind multiple layers of bars, making it virtually impossible for them to escape or even plan an escape. The prison employs constant 24-hour surveillance to ensure tight control over the inmates' movements, making it one of the most secure correctional facilities in the world. In this prison, 2 inmates are forced to share a small cell that measures approximately 50 square feet. But that's not the worst part. Inmates are actually prohibited from sitting or lying down during the day until lights out. Imagine the torment of having to stand for hours on end, no matter how exhausted you may be. To ensure compliance, prison guards make rounds every 15 minutes, ensuring no inmate is found sitting when they should be standing. The consequences for breaking this rule are dire. Solitary confinement. Even the toughest prisoners would not want to be sent to a single, cramped cell to stand for days, no matter how hardened they are. Before you assume you've heard the worst, let me tell you something that might chill your bones. At the Black Dolphin Prison, inmates are subjected to a lifetime of eating just 1 meal. Prisoners are served only soup and bread 4 times a day, every single day. So, standing all day might not be the worst part. The thought of consuming the same meal for the rest of your days could be far more daunting. But the monotony at Black Dolphin extends beyond their diet. Inmates are restricted to reading books, newspapers, or listening to the radio. No entertainment, just the occasional 90 minutes allotted for exercises. However, don't get excited about these exercises. It merely involves walking back and forth in a tightly secure cage, closely watched by the guards. Not exactly a fitness regime to look forward to. Similar to the conditions at Polar Owl Prison, community life is non-existent at Black Dolphin. There are no outdoor activities or shared meal times in a cafeteria. Meals are passed through a hole in the cell door, and inmates eat alone in their cells. Adding to the isolation, prisoners are blindfolded whenever they are moved within the prison. According to the prison authorities, this measure prevents inmates from familiarizing themselves with the layout, thus thwarting any escape plans. The same blindfolding protocol is enforced when new inmates arrive, ensuring they remain disoriented and unable to map out potential avenues of escape. Meanwhile, one notable thing about Black Dolphin Prison that's worth talking about is the high number of guards relative to the number of inmates. As of now, there are about 700 inmates and around 900 guards present in the prison. Each inmate's name and crime are written on their cell, and walking through the prison can be a shocking experience as you realize the level of depravity that is behind the bars. One particularly disturbing case is that of Vladimir Nikolov. He was an inmate at the Black Dolphin Prison for cannibalism. Nikolov got into a drunken fight with his friend, killed him, and dragged him into the bathroom. He proceeded to chop his friend into pieces, ate some of the parts, and sold the rest to a family as kangaroo meat. The level of depravity required to commit such an act is difficult to comprehend. Another inmate at the Black Dolphin Prison, who was in the cell next to Nikolov, reportedly raped 44 minors and killed 5 children. There's also this inmate named Alexander Masick, who was already serving time for murder in another prison facility, but was transferred to Black Dolphin after he killed his roommate in a gruesome act and shockingly consumed parts of the victim's body. The brutal nature of his crimes makes it clear why such individuals are confined to a place like Black Dolphin for life. Surprisingly, despite their heinous actions, the prison administration affords these inmates certain privileges. Notably, they are allowed to work in the wood shop or with the sewing machine to enable them to earn money for additional food or personal items. Additionally, they have the rare luxury of 4 visits per year, a level of leniency not typically seen in other correctional facilities. One might argue that these privileges are overly generous, considering the severity of their offenses. Overall, the Black Dolphin prison has gained recognition for its impactful approach to rehabilitation, as many inmates gradually come to realize the enormity of their crimes over time. Through various documentaries, we are given a glimpse into the transformation that takes place within the prison walls. One particular inmate, aged 45, having spent a quarter of a century behind bars, candidly reveals how regrets start to consume him and his fellow inmates within just a few months of entering the facility. These narratives don't shy away from highlighting the mental toll that the harsh reality of life in Black Dolphin prison inflicts upon its inhabitants. Incredibly, some of these hardened criminals find themselves grappling with mental illnesses within a matter of months. It is a haunting testament to the sheer weight of their actions and the consequences they now face. Through tear-filled interviews featured in additional documentaries, we witness these once remorseless individuals shedding their tough exteriors and lamenting their fate. Locked away for the remainder of their lives, they struggle to come to terms with the stark reality of their confinement. Yet, for those on the outside, there is a glimmer of solace knowing that regardless of the remorse and sorrow expressed by these inmates, the 4 walls of Black Dolphin prison will forever be their home. The conviction is so firm that escape attempts are virtually non-existent, as even the inmates themselves understand that their confinement is an impenetrable deadlock. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.